Hello, my darlings! Without knowing it, I have been creating an outfit. I made the trousers. I made the shirt. But something was still missing. So I started picking out a waistcoat to make out of this lovely linen sent to me by my dear friend Ollie. I wasn't confident that any of the waistcoat patterns I could buy would be the right fit. And if I was gonna end up having to rework the entire thing anyway, I figured I'd just do it myself. Enter the cut of men's clothes. This is a classic text with a ton of information in it, going across a variety of styles and eras. I picked this basic waistcoat, drew out the pattern, and then cut an initial toile. It obviously didn't fit because it was a one-size pattern out of a book, but I was able to sort of hack it together and into something that would work, and then after that I sort of reoriented it into a faux Regency pattern. I say faux because it really is more inspired by than anything close to historically accurate. And that's okay. So this is the linen that I will be using. It is a really, really lovely kind of like mid-weight linen, and it was sent to me by a friend, which I'm really excited about. And I just have 1 yard here, but that should be plenty to make this here. Okie dokie. I thread marked all of my sewing lines in here just because it was like a kind of dark material and my pens weren't showing up, and I was just like, you know what, I haven't actually done this technique before, let's do it. It'll be good practice and kind of we'll see how it goes. The nice thing about it is that it is by its very nature on both sides of the material. So you don't ever have that problem where you're putting your right sides together and you're like, oh shit, I never marked this side of it. So hopefully that'll save me some pain later down the road. I'll work on this more tomorrow. So I am once again up at my parents' fancy lake house. I am doing a hard quarantine so I can see my family. And yeah, I'm excited to get to work. Okay, I did a really quick just based on the seams just because I was having some like serious paranoia about the fit. And I think though that I am okay to move forward. I think it fits reasonably well. There are some like tailoring things I can do, but I think it's like I think it's good enough for like an initial run. This is my first time making a waistcoat. I'm okay with it. We're gonna move forward. So what I've done here is I have waxed together the construction seams. There's 4 seams, the sides, and then the shoulders. And what I'm going to do now is put in a small amount of facing for the openings. I decided not to line this one, but it's still going to need some sort of facing. If you hadn't noticed, I'm making this up. And I'm making it up pretty spectacularly. I'm going to add a facing, and I think it will be a good idea. Alright, I have done some things. I essentially lined it because I added a layer of facing and then turned it and then ironed it and then was like, oh, it's still pretty limp. I don't like that. So I actually like hand tacked in a layer of just like muslin to like just add a little bit extra. So I've essentially lined the front. So I'm just gonna trim back this a little bit so it doesn't interfere with the armhole out here, and then tack that into place. And then figure out what the heck I'm doing with the neckline and the collar in the back, because right now it is a hot mess. Okay, yay! I have done the lining and interfacing. The one thing I would say I would do differently next time is I didn't really do any of like the thing you're supposed to do, right, is like the pad stitching with like the interfacing layer, and I didn't. So my popped collar here is not gonna like do the right thing. I'm gonna have to do that with myself and some other techniques. But that's okay. The cravat or whatever will push it out anyway. I'm not terribly concerned. So what's next is I am going to figure out what the back of the neck will look like, and then I need to put in the standing popped collar, which is the part that I'm frankly most excited about. It just looks so silly and I love it. Okay, I have pinned in the collar and I am excited. I think it's going to look really nice. I'm really stoked. So I'm just gonna, I should probably baste it. I'm probably just gonna sew it by hand though. And so this is kind of a troublesome area. So the collar extends past into like the lapel area, just like a little bit, like 1.5 inches. What I should have done was not sew the lining interfacing in. So I haven't decided if I'm gonna unpick that and then sort of sandwich it like I should, or if I'm gonna cheat. We'll see what I do. I'm frankly, I'm not sure. Could go either way, but I'm pretty excited. I think this is working fairly well. So my goals today are to do the collar, to do the armholes, and to hem it, and then tomorrow I will do the buttons. Alright, I had this grand plan of doing a whole bunch of buttons. I was thinking like 10 buttons to like go like every other for the stripes that I have here. But when I laid it out, it just seemed like way too much. So I've managed to get it to 6 buttons, and I think it will work out. I'm using, these are the same buttons that I actually used in the adventure pouch, and I had actually been saving them for a completely different project, but they look so good here. Like, how can I not? It was meant to be. So I'm going to sew some buttonholes, and it's going to be a little bit of a buttonhole montage. It is complete. I'm so happy with it overall. I did the buttonholes by hand. Some of them turned out better than other ones, but I think it's good enough. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it overall. There are a couple of small fit issues, specifically around the shoulders, and I might try to play around with that in the future, open the seam up and just add like a little tiny little gusset so it lays flatter. I'm not entirely sure what the issue is. I need to sort of look at it more closely. But overall, it fits good enough. Like, it fits around the waist and the hips, and that was the stuff I was specifically worried about. And in hindsight, I should have paid more attention to the shoulder. We can't fix the past. So, yeah, I didn't do any tailoring in terms of like pad stitching or anything with the lapels. I'm basically just hand pressing these and being like, oh, then that cloth will push it out, which it does. And yeah, so just to give you a quick little tour, This is kind of, it looks a little clumsy, but I did the inside seams, just hand felling all over. And I did the same thing with the hem. Just turned it up and turned it up twice and hand felled that into place. Just like so. And that's that. Like I said, I'm overall super pleased with this one. It's kind of exactly what I wanted in terms of the final look. It's a giant popped collar. Like, ugh, I just love that look so much. I'm really happy with it. I'm really, really pleased. This project ended up being more than just completing a look. It proved to me that I could self-draft out of book patterns. I could really hack apart and make things fit my unique body. And it proved that the result, the final outcome of this, I have never felt so good and happy putting on clothes. It affirmed to me what I kind of knew already, which is that being here with you guys, making queer things, is the right place. I am really happy with the final outcome. There are a few little fit issues that I might go back and rework, especially with the shoulders, but overall it just turned out really nice. And as I said, like, I have never felt this good in clothing before. It's an incredibly liberating process to like feel really happy with the way you look. It's been a while. It's really nice. Normally I do a rundown of costs associated with the project, but this one was kind of a cheater. This fabric was a lovely gift from a friend, so it was free. And the buttons were like pilfered from another project, and so I'll count the buttons. The buttons, we'll call the buttons like $3 because they were fancy. But I kind of got away with not much outlay on this one. If you were to do it yourself, all you would need is really a yard of fabric and then some sort of interfacing along with buttons. It's a pretty affordable project. So maybe it's cheating, but that's life. P.S. If you didn't already know, there is a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/bequeermakestuff. It not only supports this channel and me, which is wonderful, thank you so much if you're already supporting, but it gives you access to the Be Queer Make Stuff Discord community, which is like really fabulous, and I cannot believe all of the really cool people who are already there. We have really fun discussions and like also really serious discussions where people sort of talk about their own experiences. Every month we have a new discussion topic in addition to the usual discussion channels, and this month's is what are your inspirations? So people are talking about all sorts of things that inspire them to make very cool things. I think my favorite part about it though is just the show and tell portion where people show all of the really cool projects that they're working on and you get to see them as they work on stuff. I like it. But that's all for now. I'm so happy I got to share this with you. I hope you guys had a safe and happy holidays if you are an American person who celebrates Thanksgiving. I know it's complicated. Until next time, be queer and make stuff. P.S. Here's a list of all of the current Super and Champion level supporters. So that's the tier above, just the basic access, and these guys have my extra thanks. Bye bye.